Hey guys, Boomfish TCG here, back at it again with another video. This time we're going to be taking a look at what is known as Aggro Dragon. It's a niche pick, not very popular, not the strongest deck out there, but there was a decent portion of, I believe, set 9 or set 10 where this deck was genuinely taking games and very close or winning some locals in my area just because people weren't prepared for it. I'm gonna be honest, simple face damage will pretty much always claim a few games. And sometimes, if you get lucky with a hyper aggro deck like this, you can really screw over someone's day. So, with that, we're gonna get into the list, but don't expect too much from this deck. One of the cards that I really like is a Marion Elegant Dragon Newt. I'm going to be honest, this guy has pissed me off more than once because a 1 mana follower, if Overflow is active, you look at the top 3, grab a Dragon follower from among them and put them into your EX. That's really good. 1 mana 2/2. Because if you got to think about it, right? Aggro deck definitely doesn't want to go into the late game, but in the worst case scenario, this is card draw unconditionally, right? As long as you have an open EX, and in this deck you will. And just the fact that you have that kind of upside in this deck is incredible. If you evo it, and this is really what sells me on it, select an enemy or a dragon follower on your field or an EX and buff it +1/+1. In an aggro deck like this, having a cheap card to be able to flood the board with and buff is stellar and definitely one of the keeps in the hand. You have, so 3 of it is very understandable. You got Flame of Hope, Airmo. This is a Vanguard card, but it's still really solid. Select an enemy follower on the field. If you have Overflow active, you deal 2. So if you don't, it's doing nothing there. But that's not really what you care about. When you're an enemy follower is put from their field to the grave, you draw a card and discard. In an aggressive deck like this, you might be sniping out some of their early cards to try and trade into you. And in that scenario, you're actually doing pretty solid. You will force them to kind of choke up on their game plan because you're going to be cycling, seeing the cards that you want, but also you cleared their board, you're an aggro deck, you're ahead on tempo, that's going to be very good for you. 2 of it's kind of the sweet spot because you have a lot of just 1 mana 2/2s in this deck, and you don't want to. It doesn't do that much. It's not nearly as flexible as, let's say, Marion. We have Surumaru Sushioshi, I think. So it's a 1 mana 2/2. Crazy. Select enemy follower. Deal damage equal to the number of face-up carrots in your Evo deck. Come on. We have 2. I guess. It's kind of weird. It's not bad, but like, wouldn't you want a 3rd copy of this? I don't really have an answer for this, but in most scenarios, it's a 1 mana 2/2, and sometimes race will help you out. So I guess this person decided that mattered enough. We have Wormfire Engineer, 1 mana 2/2. And if it dies, it summons a Bullet Bike token, so it puts it on the field. That's fine. I don't know how many other Wasteland cards you have in your deck, but being able to give something Rush is quite nice. And you shouldn't be too mad about that. It is a better upside than this card. And for our final 1-drop, we have Feline, White Forest or White Frost Dragon Newt. It's a card that saw a decent amount of play in other dragon decks. Simply 1 mana, select an enemy follower, engage it, and if you have Overflow, you search your deck for White Frost Whisper, put it into your EX, and then you shuffle your deck, which is the 1-of spell. You can play this for 1 cost less if overflow, so naturally if you put this in the EX, that means it's free. You select an enemy follower that's engaged, destroy it, and then if you have Feline White Frost Dragonute, you ping them for 2. In an aggressive deck that's going into the late game, this is perfect. But in most scenarios, being able to tap something down to prevent it from being able to trade is incredible. It does not have aggressive stats because if it did, it'd probably be a little bit too much. In the grand scheme of set 6, okay? I'm not talking about 2026. It's just if this was, let's say, a 1-mana 3/1, I think that would be kind of crazy. But it kind of makes up for anything like that with the damage it creates. Moving on, we have Assault Dragon. So for 2 mana, you get a 2/2, and then you tap it, select a Dragon Follower that costs 2 or less on your field, and give it +1/+1 in Storm. So for an aggro deck, for turn 3, if you already have things established and you play Assault Dragoon, plus any of the, let's see, 3, 3, 3, 9, 4, 13. So this plus any of your 13 1-drops, you're just slinging something at their face for extra damage, which is really good. And definitely part of what makes this deck super annoying. Just being able to turn anything that you play, obviously that's tiny, into Storm. But as you will be able to see with the 2-drops that we're playing, they have either 2/2 in stats or aggressively leaning with 3/2, which is not bad. So 3 of it makes sense. It's Evo. Select a Dragon Follower in your grave that costs 2 or less, and summon it. Also incredible. I didn't know about that actually. That's really solid. It costs 2, but it's for this aggressive dragon deck. So it makes sense. High synergy. So 3 of it makes even more sense now. We have Dotting Dragoneer. We have Overflow's active. You can ping something on the field for 2. Whatever. It's Evo. Select a Dragon Follower in your grave that costs 3 or less, and summon it. Also quite nice. I'm a little bit surprised that he's only playing the 1 Evo, but this is definitely a worse version of Assault Dragoon, and they're simply playing these to have access to the effect more, and it also brings back a 3-drop instead, so that's quite notable. So 2 of it makes sense because it's just kind of a worse version of this card. We have Dragon Knight Nihalim. So 2 mana on strike, it gets it deals the opponent 1 damage. If you drive it, you select an enemy follower on the field, deal 2 damage to it, and then this gets +1/+1. Effectively, when this swings after that, if they weren't able to clear it, they're taking 4 damage. Wow. That's pretty strong. Honestly, when Vanguard is playing this card, it's very annoying. Like, I'm talking very, very annoying. But if you're slinging this at their face with an effect like Assault Dragoon, this is another card that's going to end up dealing that extra damage. It's aggressively statted effectively, and that's pretty nice. 2 of it kind of makes sense. I do quite like it, so I don't know. Like, it's a great little removal tool, but it might be because his Evo deck was getting a bit tight. Who knows? Fina, I don't necessarily have to explain her, but since you're playing 13 1-drops in your deck, and it's very good if you see them, playing Fina is really nice. It's flexible. Yeah, it's a great way to try and maintain tempo, and or you're going for a bit of card advantage. Not a bad card. We have Fire Lizard, which this card came out in set 1, but I guarantee you it will genuinely piss you off if this thing's hitting you early. So it has the flexibility of dealing 1 damage to an enemy follower or 1 damage to the opponent's face, and having the flexibility to get face damage, or when you need it, killing something off, is really good, honestly. And if you were to bring this out, specifically, I think this is the best revive target early. For Assault Dragoon, this is dealing 5 damage in total when you give it +1/+1 in Storm in the same turn. Wow. That's really annoying. If you played this turn 2 going second and your opponent killed it, you're like, okay, cool. You do this thing, you play it, evo it, bring this thing back and hit them in the face for 5 after you already hit them for 1, just with some peppering of damage. That's really, really annoying. Yeah, you'll hate this card every time they're able to cycle it, so keep that in mind. But again, this deck's kind of rare, so don't worry about it too much. We have Seiyun Sky. Definitely part of the reason this deck exists is it's a 3 mana, 1/3, Storm and Intimidate. That could be bad for you. In 2026, we certainly have a lot more removal than we had back in, like, whatever, set 9 when this card came out. But if you do not have it, just like when you're playing against regular Uma, this could be really bad for you, because it keeps ramping every single turn. So yeah, not bad at all. Probably a very important card in this deck is what people call is PDK. So if you have Overflow, this gets +1/+1 Intimidate. Sure, whatever. But the thing is, you initially play this out and you pretend it's an amulet. So whenever a dragon follower that costs 3 or less is put onto the field, not once per turn, you ping something for 2 and the opponent for 1. That's pretty good. Considering how much you're going to be slinging out, that's not bad. It's a bit dated for set 15, because this is BP04. But for this deck, it is pretty decent. You do not have to run this. In fact, you might benefit from doing like the new Jerry stuff. But considering how cheap this deck is to build, not much to say here. It's fine. Nishino Flower. It's a 3 mana 3/3. On race, give this +1/+1. And then it summons Seiyun Sky from your deck? Okay, whoa. Wait a minute, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Wow. I kind of like that. I did not know this deck did that. Oh my goodness. That's really cool. Yeah. That's awesome, actually. Look at that. Cool. We have Forte. If you heard what happened in my voice right there, I hate this card so much. Not for its base form, but if you evo it, it gets aura. I cannot stand that side of things. But if we're looking at what this deck's doing, trying to kill the opponent, this is incredible. It's only at 2 because it is a bit expensive to do what you need. But 5 damage in the face is great. 7 damage in the face that the opponent can't do anything about is also great. So it plays exactly what your deck's trying to do. It's fine. Jerva, 5 mana 5/5. Risky because you have to discard your whole hand. But I can guarantee you when you evo this, it's pretty nice. So discard your whole hand. End phase of the turn, you deal 5 damage to each other follower on the field. So naturally you could be clearing your field. But considering you're going to have high tempo, this is not going to be bad for you. In fact, it's going to be maintaining stuff. And sometimes when your opponent's just about to recover, you clear their board here. It's 5/5 is not an easy stat line to deal with. And when you evo it, it now additionally does 5 damage to the opponent as well. So that's really good. This was a quick one because the deck is kind of one note, but I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5. So that's 3 Boomfish out of 5. Is it the strongest? No. Is it going to win that many tournaments? Don't think so. but considering how cheap this deck is to build, and I think a lot of people at your locals will have spare cards in order for you to build this quite quickly, I think this card or this deck is really nice for that, and it's really good for someone to walk into and learn because it's very simple. I'm gonna give this 3 boomfish out of 5. Stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching.